as a firm owner and as a successful bookkeeper, you kind of have to build an innovation muscle, and you have to build in time in your schedule to always be innovating and trying new things. So I can figure out what the next thing for our firm is going to be. So I can have a firm that's continuously seen as an innovative firm, whether it's high tech or not high tech, just a fresh new look, a fresh new way of solving a problem.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Palmer, and we have a fantastic two-part series with the popular CPA and YouTuber Hector Garcia. In part one, he'll discuss what's been happening since his last appearance on the show, including the development of his innovative app, Right Tool, plus much more. All right, let's start that conversation now. Our returning guest is very popular in our industry. He has a massive YouTube channel. He's been contributing to the industry for several years. He's well known. Hector Garcia, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back. I've always loved this podcast, so it's an honor.
Thank you. Well, it's your episode's one of those standout episodes. If our listener right now has not listened to it, it's episode 219. So we're jumping, 159. I don't know where 219 came from. Probably because it was back in 2019. That's where the 219 comes from. And that's a standout episode that I hear people talking about, and I reference a lot. Great story about you building your YouTube channel, how you got into the business, your pricing, how you were able to get some of your first clients, some really great nuggets of knowledge for anyone that's growing their practice. Definitely a must-listen episode. But Hector, it's been 2019. I don't know why I keep saying 219. 2019, when I looked at that date, I'm like, wow, the world's had a couple of changes since then, and I'm sure you have as well. Why don't you give us a little bit of an update to let us know what's changed in your world since then?
Yeah, of course. So what hasn't changed is I still manage my accounting and bookkeeping practice. I still create videos in YouTube. YouTube is still the main source of new clients to our practice. And I still use QuickBooks quite a bit. I would say that's what hasn't changed. What has changed is, well, I use QuickBooks Desktop a lot less than I used to 5 years ago. Of course, QuickBooks Online has really grown. I don't remember exactly what was 5 years ago, but right now we're talking about over 5 million active QuickBooks Online users, and QuickBooks Desktop is probably on the 1 million or less area. So obviously the tide has shifted to QuickBooks Online, and there isn't a real viable competitor. Yeah, you have Zeros of the world, you have FreshBooks, but really, when you look at the numbers, QuickBooks Online in the small business bookkeeping, small business accounting world, it's pretty much king, 80-something% plus of market share. So I have not changed in terms of like who I support. I still support QuickBooks Online users. Now, what has radically changed, what looks very different in my world, is that because of this shift from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online, I've grown more frustrated day and day in terms of the things I wish QuickBooks Online could do that QuickBooks Desktop was able to do, or still able to do, to be fair. And I have a lot more QuickBooks Online clients I've been dealing with. So I developed an app to make the QuickBooks Online experience better. That app is called Right Tool. So RIGHT TOOL. App, so you can check it out. There's a free version that enhances the navigation experience, and then there's a pro version, a paid version that adds some batching tools and some really cool tools for QuickBooks Online power users like me. So I kind of build the tool to work for me and for the people in my firm. The other thing that has changed per se is my focus has always been creating videos in YouTube, but in the post-pandemic world, I've grown to appreciate human contact a lot more than I used to before. It felt like in the 2010s, like sort of the conferences, live conferences were dying, and people were moving a lot to virtual conferences, and you saw tons of virtual conferences, obviously peaking in 2020, where people could literally didn't leave their houses. But I think there's been a resurgence of in-person events. So I decided to throw my name in the hat and become also a conference host. So I built a conference called Reframe. We had our first inaugural conference last year in Miami. We had about 100 people, and we talked about the business model, how to be more creative as an accountant, how to think of your business model as a fluid thing, not as a hard thing. Like, it doesn't have to be hourly, it doesn't have to be value priced, or it doesn't have to be one thing. That you could innovate in the marketplace by having a very unique business model. And for that, you need to be creative. You need to be comfortable with being creative. So that was last year's theme. And this year, the conference is going to be in October in the Fort Lauderdale area, so close to Miami. And the theme this year is going to be influential conversations. So how can we up our game when it comes to communication skills? How can we have conversations with our clients that are more influential, so we don't have to have the same conversation over and over? Next year, how do we get our peers, our colleagues, our employees, our team members, our boss, depending on our position in the company, how to buy into our idea? Because sometimes we'll have good creative ideas, but the status quo kind of eats it alive and it doesn't allow it to move forward. So it's still within the concept of creativity. I think we can be more creative with the way we communicate. We can be more clear with the way we communicate, and that will help us succeed. So I would say the fact that I'm working on this tool for QuickBooks Online and this conference are the two key things that are different in my world, other than the traditional bookkeeping, accounting work, and the YouTube channel to promote that.
We'll get back to the interview right after this word from our sponsor. Here on the Successful Bookkeeper podcast, we want to help you work smarter and build a business you love. Chances are you want to do the same for your clients. That's where Bill comes in. Bill automates your clients' AP, AR, spend, and expense, and lets them track and manage their cash flow in real time. Do you manage your clients' bill pay? Use Bill Accountant Console to access insights to level up your advisory services, giving your clients better visibility for better business decisions. And if your clients would rather manage their own AP and AR, just refer them to Bill. Sign up for Bill's premium referral program, and you'll get revenue share for your referrals, plus a discount for your clients. Win-win. To learn more about how Bill can help you and your clients, and to sign up for the referral program, visit thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com/Bill. Thank you for hearing from our sponsor. Now let's get back to the interview. I'm curious now, you've added two massive things to your plate. How do you deal with your business? We talked a little bit about that in the pre-show conversation. You are a lot more hands-off. What was that transition like, and what did that look like for you?
Well, I have 4 employees that have a 7 or 8 year plus tenure with me at this point. And I think that's probably key. I would say it would likely be very difficult that that could have happened without that tenure. 2 of those, I started by calling them employees, but 2 of them are actually partners in the firm. I've actually, offered them equity. They've taken equity. They kind of have their own books of business that they manage. And me, as one of the partners, I basically just feed business into them, maybe play a role of second opinion in certain complicated matters. Sometimes I'll quarterback a new deal, a new client coming in, because they know and trust me from YouTube. So I'll kind of quarterback the deal and send it to one of my 2 partners. And each of them have a direct rapport, like their senior bookkeepers, their senior tax preparers that have that 7 year, 8 year, 10 year under them. So without having a team that has a vested interest on the success of the business, I probably would still be doing bookkeeping work every day and tax work every day and that sort of thing. So I know it sounds kind of trite, but having a team you can count on, quote unquote, delegating. It's not technically not delegating because we have an agreement that they have ownership, not just like
That's a
legal
different
ownership. We're
model
talking
for
about
sure. That's a
right,
creative
right.
model. Wow, you.
That is a creative model. That's
It's a
true. Yeah,
creative
very,
model.
very true.
Yes, for the
Yeah,
bookkeeping
yeah.
industry. I mean, it's very common in the legal industry. People have there's firms and multi owners, and this is interesting in the accounting and book more so the bookkeeping. I mean, even the accountants have multi partner model, but you've brought kind of a mixture, which is cool, and you've built up such a big lead flow from your YouTube channel that it makes a lot of sense that you're bringing your strength and then you're finding others to bring their strength.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback on the episode we talked about 5 years ago, which I kind of maybe made the comment about marketing being the single most important thing in our business. I think it's still very true, and the reason why I was able to do that is because my personal brand and the marketing that I bring into the table, it is so powerful that folks want to work. I don't want to say under me, but they want to work sort of in parallel to my brand. So even though I'm not the one doing the actual work day to day, my these clients are coming into our firm are trusting that someone like me or someone that I respect or someone that I could always have access to or vice versa will be there available to guarantee the quality of the work. So this is where I think the personal brand and just great branding in general, which is built by great marketing, is key. And I would not have been able to do that, or at least as successfully, if I didn't have such a strong brand, which I, obviously leverage YouTube for the most part, even though I've done other things and not just YouTube. But for the most part, YouTube has been that fundamental thing that actually shines a light on the quality of the work that we could provide. And I think that's key. But the other piece that I've learned over time, and I was still kind of learning it when we talked 5 years ago, and I've embraced it a lot more, which is Peter Drucker used to say that there's two key activities in business, and it's marketing and innovation. Everything else is cost. And I heard that the first time, I'm like, I'm an accountant, and accounting is not cost. Accounting is a fundamental business element. And when you actually think about it, it really isn't. Accounting is very much an afterthought. If you look at all successful businesses, the primary activity that they engage on is marketing and innovation. So by marketing, I basically just mean strong brand, strong trust with your clients. Your clients trust the quality of the work. And innovation means always do it differently, always do it better. Innovation is not always technology. Innovation is providing a different point of view to the status quo. You think about the word innovation and you break it down to in, nova, and Asian. And I think of in like inside your head, like internal, nova, the Latin term for new, and then Asian, action. So it means to make something new. Innovation means to make something new inside your head. So you don't have to literally build a technology, right? You don't have to build the next chat GPT to be innovative. You could simply just do it differently, take a different approach, take a different point of view, try it, experiment. If it doesn't work, you do a next one. And this is an iterative process that as a firm owner and as a successful bookkeeper, you kind of have to build an innovation muscle, and you have to build in time in your schedule to always be innovating and trying new things, which is why I spent so much time in the last couple of years literally not sleeping, playing with ChatGPT and all the AI tools, because I think that the next piece of innovation is not so much on using AI or bringing the AI, but it's practicing with AI that innovation muscle, so I can figure out what the next thing for our firm is going to be. So I can have a firm that's continuously seen as an innovative firm, whether it's high tech or not high tech, just a fresh new look, a fresh new way of solving a problem.
Oh, that's lovely. I don't know if I've ever heard innovation broken down so eloquently. Puts a whole new spin onto it for me as well, which I love. And you demonstrate that incredibly. When we talk about the marketing that you've done, I always go back to those fundamental three words: know, like, and trust, which you've done that to the T. You've done it mostly through YouTube. Do you think that there's, like, for a listener today, often they will look at someone like you and go, oh, Hector's, he's done this. There's only one person that can do this. There's no space for me left in the world to be marketing myself that way. What would you say to people who are just getting started and want to get known in the marketplace? What do you think is there and available for people today?
That's a good question. So I'm going to put myself as an example. I'm going to put before I was in YouTube, and then I want to tell you about all these great YouTubers that have seemingly come out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So 10 years ago, before I started my YouTube channel, there was no Hector Garcia CPA YouTube channel, right? So, and I understand that maybe I got in a little bit early, and that plays into the whole thing. But understand that before my channel existed, there was no channel. And when the day one that I opened my channel, I had one follower. So you kind of have to get started before, you can't just give up and say, well, there's no way to compete with this guy, or it's impossible. And I'm going to illustrate an example. So the YouTuber I used to follow, and I still watch his content before I even started the channel, was Seth David from Nerd Enterprises.
Mm-hmm.
Seth was absolutely my inspiration. I'm like, this guy is so smart. He knows so much. One day I want to be like him. And I've studied, why is he giving away all his knowledge? Like, I don't understand. Like, I've spent, this is 2014. I'm fresh off of school. I just became a CPA, but not fresh off of school. But recently, I still remembered my school years. I remember I was looking at my student loan bill that I now have to pay because I have, I went back to school. I got a master's degree. I became a CPA, all this stuff. And I'm thinking, why in the world is this guy giving away all his knowledge? And then I saw all his success, and then I got to chat with him, and I asked him, why did you do that? And he said point blank, he says, because the more knowledge I give away, the more people want to pay me for more of it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of interesting, because you would think, well, if you are giving away more knowledge, technically you have a lot less to give. But the reality is that knowledge without context is just information, right? And the context, which is the application of the knowledge, which is the consulting work, which is listening to the person's problem. The person already trusts you that you understand how to fix problems like theirs because they saw your video and they saw you walk through the problem. You explain, hey, this was a situation. And they saw you kind of like solve the issue in Excel, in QuickBooks, or whatever. So it's not just doing a screen share and fixing the problem. It's also kind of explaining your thinking and logic behind what you're doing. So if somebody actually went through and watched your video, then they're going to hire you with a lot of confidence, thinking that you can do it, even though the video literally gave away 90% of what they needed to know. But it's that 10%, which is what's your opinion about my situation and the application of this particular knowledge, and how would you approach it, that people are willing to pay 100 times more than what they're going to pay to a generic person that they don't know whether or not they have fixed a problem like theirs. So the most important thing about this is that when you showcase your capabilities, when you do it without a trick. Like, because a lot of people do like the teaser video where they'll
Mm-hmm.
explain to you half of the thing, and then they say, for more, you need to pay this or get into this program. And that stuff irks people. But when you do an actual video where you go from soup to nuts, okay, this is the problem, this is how I fix it, this is what it looks like in the P&L and balance sheet at the end, and there's sort of no agenda behind it. And you say, oh, by the way, if you have a problem that looks like this and you want to work with someone that knows this type of things, there's my email. Just email me your issue, and then I'll read it really quick. And if it looks and feels like something I can do, I'll contact you back, and we'll talk about what the process looks like to work together. So you basically remove all the friction, you reduce most of the risk, and people are just more willing to buy from you. So one key learning I had from that conversation with Seth David is I asked him, what inspired you to do this? And he was talking about, he's very open about him being an ex-drug addict and being part of like the AA, the AA meetings. And one of the steps was give it away to keep it. Give it away to keep it. You got to give it away to keep it. And he's like, look, I kind of see this as when I give away the knowledge, it becomes mine. Okay. When I give away the knowledge, it becomes mine. And that actually makes the most amount of sense, because the first person or the person that hears that piece of knowledge from you or learns from you, and you're the first person to teach them that, you are forever stamped in their brain as the source of that knowledge. So you give it away to own it. You give it away to keep it. So you, even if you are, quoting somebody else, or it's not like your original thinking, even if you attribute whoever you learned it from, if you are the first person that they hear from, it becomes yours. You become the guru, the source, the oracle of that knowledge, and people will always admire and follow people like that. And then when it comes to transacting, they already trust you so deeply that you've seen that meme that says, "Shut up and take my money." Like, that's the type of way that your customers want to work. They feel that they want to work with you. They're like, shut up and take my money, because they're like, look, I really trust you. Stop selling yourself. Just like, tell me how much I need to pay, and let's get started working right away.
Yeah,
and that's a great feeling to have as a professional. And I absolutely thank Seth David for inspiring me to do that. Now I want to fast forward a little bit. Let's fast forward to 2020. Okay. So I met a guy during the pandemic. His name is Brian Kim. His YouTube channel is called Clear Value Tax. From 2018 to 2019, he started creating videos about tax. Okay, tax this, tax that. He wasn't getting anywhere. He probably had maybe 5,000 subscribers. He could have been in his mind saying, I cannot compete with the Hectors of the world. Hector's another CPA that's already, with over 100,000 subscribers. Why would I even bother? And then the pandemic happened, and he started talking about the tax credits. And he started talking about the stimulus checks, started talking about PPP. And his channel blew up. He's got 2 million subscribers now. So seemingly, in his perspective, there's another CPA in YouTube with 100,000 subscribers. I got 5,000. I can't get anywhere. He blew up. Okay. There's another YouTuber. Her name is Jasmine De Luca, I believe is her name. She's a tax attorney, and she's making YouTube shorts where she's dispelling and taking down all the tax and finance gurus that make all these little short videos that are very false or very misleading tax advice. And she's like, she's listening to them, and she's saying, okay, this is wrong because of this code. This is wrong because of that code. For more accurate tax advice, follow a real tax attorney. She's already at 100,000 views, and literally she had 5,000 views 2 months ago. Like, this is, wow. I strongly believe, I recently interviewed her. I'm going to have an interview with her in my YouTube channel. I strongly believe that her channel will also hit 1 million subscribers in an event, and my channel will probably never reach 1 million subscribers. So the point is that you can never look at another YouTuber or another content creator and say, because of that person, I cannot grow. That is just very, very false. There's another friend of mine. Her name is Hannah Smolinski. She has a channel called Clara CFO. She talks about like CFO, finance, QuickBooks, certain things. She's almost at 100,000 subscribers as well. Seemingly also out of nowhere. She started a couple of years ago. So again, I do not ever, ever, ever look at somebody else's success as a zero-sum game. Because of that person, I cannot be successful. That's the wrong thinking, okay? We all actually together, Clear Value Tax, Seth David, Hannah Smolinski, Clara CFO, Jasmine DeLuca, myself, all of us together add value to the entire ecosystem of professionals. So we're not competition with each other. We're all adding value to the entire ecosystem. So anyone here that has been kind of like hesitant to start, I'm telling you, get started. It doesn't matter where it takes you. There's tons of reasons to do that beyond the success from the channel itself. It's also a great place for you to distill your ideas. It's a cathartic system. Like, hey, I learned a couple of things today. When I'm able to teach them back, I'm able to understand them more clearly. You have to kind of stop and take a whole bunch of abstract ideas in your head and make them understandable, make them into bullet points. So just the exercise of translating something abstract in your head to something concrete in a podcast or in a YouTube channel, that exercise makes you smarter, makes you a better communicator. And obviously, enhanced communications because of my conference is something that I'm really, really into. So I will encourage people, just get started.
Beautiful. It is a miraculous platform, YouTube. It's accessible to everyone. There's virtually zero barrier to entry. And what a gift to small businesses to have a platform like that. And so really the only thing between having success and nothing is just taking some actions, like you've said, and starting sooner than later and keep working at it. And you've demonstrated that in your examples. And even if you have 10 views, those are 10 people that watch something, got value, and might only be your customers, your family. There's still value on that spectrum, if you will. That was a terrific chat with Hector. In part 2 of our conversation, we'll explore how embracing technology and innovation can propel bookkeepers and accountants forward, enhancing their roles and making a profound impact on their clients' businesses, plus much more. And with that, we wrap another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. To learn more about today's wonderful guest and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.